People in Dolua, Marshall's Soul Mutation Blue Silver Grass Introduction. www.zhaohuiyuan.com Bad news, good news bad news. Marshall's Soul Blue Silver Grass, crying, good news. Mutated, hee carrot_carrot. Hey, why is this head a bit itchy? Is it difficult? It's about growing a brain. Surprise, hey, there's something in my head, this thing is a bit familiar mu jiabao. Meat buns. T to the power of T, Lin Hai. Don't worry, let's go to the wilderness. You are responsible for going up, I will assist you, and bravely go up. Mu jiabao. Emperor, there is only one. I have made up my mind for this lifetime. Little brat, go find your mother to breastfeed. Let's take a look at this doomsday lucky person, who was accidentally sent into another world. Let's embark on a wonderful adventure. Here is the world of martial souls and the paradise of soul masters. Here is a family bond he has never had before, as well as his wonderful journey. https://www.zhaohuiyan.com. Preface, everyone contribute, save it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not a double male lead, just needed for the early storyline. In the divine realm, within a green palace, Shaozi. A woman dressed in a water-green long dress full of vitality, with a charming appearance and a faint layer of gold. However, at this moment, her bright face was filled with a faint panic, while also shouting with a childlike tone. Is that so? Wife. The man couldn't see anything and was wearing a purple cloak, covering his head inside, patiently asking. Help me find it, the precious pearl hanging on my chest is missing. The god of life looked at the god of destruction with tears in his eyes. Although this bead is not a precious thing, it has been worn by the goddess of life all year round. Even the least precious thing has now become a treasure, filled with the breath of life. If it's gone, it's gone. I'll find you a new one. That one has been worn for so long, it's meaningless, said a god of destruction wearing a hat. Humph. Little purple, big and straight. The god of destruction. Did I say something wrong? Thinking of the god of destruction, however, he soon felt relieved. He thought to himself that it must be Little Green who was also looking forward to the gift I would give her, but was too embarrassed to say it, that's why he said that. If the god of life knew, he would probably puff his lips and stomp his feet in anger. In the sky of Dolua continent, a green light suddenly flashed and crashed into an unknown place on Dolua continent. After the object fell, small grass suddenly emerged from the previously bare area around it, and the number of small grass increased. Soon, it became a lush green scene. I don't know how long it took, but a group of people came here. Boss, the environment here is really nice, and just standing here for a while can make everyone's mental state different. Boss, let's settle down and live here. What's your opinion? Said a suspected leader. No objections. I noticed on my way here that there are many herbs growing around here, which means our future life won't be too bad. When this person said this, the others had no objections. No objections. This place is great. I don't know how long it has been, but the few people who originally settled here have slowly expanded and attracted people to live here. Slowly, as time passed, this place gradually became a village. One day. There's more grass here than anywhere else, and those trees are so strong. A little boy stumbled to the middle and sat down with his butt down. Gently caressing the blue-silver grass on the ground with small hands. Xiaohai, just play here. Mom and Dad are picking some herbs nearby, don't run around. Got it. The little boy was very happy here. However, what he didn't know was that in the ground beneath his buttocks, a green bead was faintly shining. Afterwards, whenever he had free time, he would come to this grassland to play, but what he didn't know was that every time he came into contact with these small grasses, his blood vessels unconsciously changed. We can refer to it as returning to the ancestors. And the culprit is of course the green pearl buried underground, along with a group of accomplices, deeply rooted in the ground. Later on, this little boy not only came by himself, but also often played with a chubby young man of similar age. Chapter 1. Soul-piercing Dolua, Zero Planting Homeland. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. There is a small town between the Empire of Heavenly Do, the Kingdom of Barak, and the cities of Soto and Heavenly Do, known as Lin Yuan City. Below this city, there is a small village with a beautiful name. Qianji Village. It's called Qianji Village, not just because there are many plants here, but because the villagers here, most of their martial souls are plant-based, and of course, martial souls also have vegetables. Secondly, it also sounds domineering in this way. However, compared to other villages, Qianji Village is much better in terms of cloth martial soul, stool martial soul, and lamp martial soul. In the village, a little baby over a year old sat on a grassy field, his hand gently caressing the blue grass, but his mind was filled with thoughts. Dolua continent is generally precocious, with early puberty in all aspects. Underground, unknown to him, a green bead glimmered faintly with light. Lin Hai. After studying hard for the first half of his life, he returned to before the liberation. Lin Hai's past life is said to be tragic. He was an orphan who grew up in an orphanage and became self-sufficient. After finishing college, he watched anime-edited videos and watched as he finally stepped into a beautiful society. Oh, the end of the world has arrived, with zombies rampant. Lin Hai was also dizzy and fainted at that time. When he woke up again, he found that he had awakened his psychic powers and could resist objects. Lin Hai was so happy at that time. However, not long after, while on the run, I was hit by a bus that was also running away. That's right, it's just that bad luck. As his soul was about to enter a cycle of reincarnation, he saw the bus driver distracted and drawing a stroke on a small notebook while driving. It's obvious. He encountered a mysterious organization. Then, he did indeed travel through a world entwined with blue and silver. Due to being born, coupled with a desire for family affection, sometimes he willingly appears childish and seeks to regain the warmth of his long-awaited family relationship. Little grass. Little grass, do you also have this kind of melancholy? The blue-silver grass on the ground swayed and seemed to the little boy to agree with what he said. He. The little boy smiled happily, his few teeth filling him with joy at this moment. Blue-silver grass. I believe you're a ghost, I'm very leisurely. The breath of life is strong, I suck hard. Xiao Hai, what are you doing? A gentle voice came in. Lin Hai turned his head and a beautiful, peaceful, and gentle woman looked at him with a smile. The woman's name is Yu Qinghe, and she is a soul master with 13 levels of soul power, known as the martial soul lotus. Mom. Lin Hai called out sweetly. He. Then, he propped himself up on the ground with his chubby hands and short legs, stood up, and ran happily towards the beautiful woman. He hugged Yu Qinghe's leg and coquettishly said, Mom, have you finished your work? Yu Qinghe took advantage of the situation and picked up the forest sea. You. Tiny century egg. What are you doing? She gently nodded his little head and laughed at the cute little dot. At the same time, she raised her hand and lifted the herbs in her hand. The woman was just picking herbs around here, and she asked the child to play on the blue-silver grassland and not run around. The cute little face showed a puzzled expression, extremely lethal. Ah, okay, I've been defeated by you. The woman sighed and said. It's time to go home and cook. For a person who has been without family since childhood, he greatly enjoys this hard-earned affection. Our little C is really adorable, this face. She said and got started. Ma, the women maritime block will increase by 8. Lin Hai said with unclear words. Oh, okay, Xiao Hai has grown up and won't let his mother care about you anymore. It's sad. Lin Hai rubbed his pitiful little face with both hands and asked his mother, has Dad come back? It should be fast. Lin Hai's father, Lin Qianshu, is also a soul master with a soul power of 18 levels and a martial soul of blue silver grass. That's right, it's blue silver grass. Thanks to the environment of Qianji village, there are a lot of herbs growing here, and there are also many blue silver grass growing in it. Of course, it is also for this reason that Qianji village is not poor, and is wealthier than many villages on the mainland. In addition, Qianji village is also quite unique because when Qianji village's martial souls awaken, not only is it because more than 90% of the awakened martial souls are plant-based, but the probability of possessing innate soul power is also higher than in other places. Although I don't know how they counted it. According to the tradition of Dolua continent, this is obviously abnormal. You should know that some villages cannot produce a person with innate soul power for several years. Gradually, the villagers believed that the village had received blessings from the gods and was still in the Dolua continent of divine thought, attributing everything in Qianji village to the blessings bestowed upon it by the gods. So every year before the awakening of martial souls, every household is worshipping, hoping that their children will receive the blessings of the gods. As soul masters, the Lin Qianshu family belongs to a special class higher than the common class on the Dolua continent, and of course they have assets in the city of Linyuan. As for why Lin Qianshu and his family no longer live in the city, but instead in the village. Due to some business reasons. The Lin Qianshu family is engaged in the herbal medicine business. The main reason was due to the arrival of Lin Hai, and he and Yu Qinghe felt that their cultivation in the village seemed to be faster. Lin Qianshu, who wanted to quickly upgrade to level 20, decided to stay in the village. Lin Qianshu doesn't know how to practice mimicry, there is also a legend of divine blessings. The future of our own big child is crucial. Yu Qinghe touched Lin Hai's little head and smiled, young master, don't worry. Your father has returned safely from the city. Upon hearing this, Lin Hai breathed a sigh of relief. But these actions of his are very interesting to Yu Qinghe, and he only thinks that his precocious eldest child is too interesting. Lin Hai couldn't help but worry. Since he found out that he had come to Dolua continent, although it was jokingly called the ceiling, floor tiles, of fantasy, it was not the peaceful society he had been in before. Here, full of malice, nobles who hold high, soul masters who bully the weak, and corrupt soul masters who are unforgivable for all evil. He is very worried about his father, who has his own martial soul blue silver grass and soul power is less than level 20. He is afraid of encountering the above situations, Lin Qianshu. Damn it, your dad, I'm not such a waste. You're back. A gentle male voice sounded. The man's appearance can only be considered above average, but his figure is still good. He is 1.8 meters tall and can be called handsome. He is Lin Qianshu. As a first-time father with no experience, his education towards Lin Hai has two sides. On the one hand, he is very strict. As the son of a soul master, Lin Hai is also in the special village of Qianji village, and Lin Qianshu also hopes for his son to succeed. On the other hand, he enjoys the family relationship with his son very much, and when he is not training, he also likes to play with his son. Chapter 2. Lin Hai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dad. Lin Hai cheerfully shouted, in this life, he has love from his father. Because of this, he compared himself with a certain little rascal, and, he was very satisfied. If you don't have enough strength, try your best to make up for it. You have a band father, I will strive for self-improvement. Of course, I will consider whether to speak up after my martial soul awakens. Wu Xiaohai sticks to you as soon as he comes back, I'm angry. Ha ha ha, wife, there's me. Lin Qianshu comforted Yu Qinghe. Mom, I love you. The protection of family affection made Lin Hai unconsciously childlike. Pushi, Yu Qinghe chuckled. Alright, let's eat first. After dinner, Xiao Linhai asked eagerly, Dad, how about going to Linyuan City this time? Have a smooth journey without encountering any danger. Your father and I are at least a soul master, and we are not so fragile. By the way, your Uncle Mu even asked me about you. Xiao Hai, have you been obedient lately? Seeing that Lin Qianshu's donkey head was not right, Lin Hai became anxious. Alright, stop teasing Xiao Hai. Yu Qinghe came out to smooth things out. He, come on, this is what you want. Lin Qianshu took out a book titled Encyclopedia of Centennial Soul Beast Knowledge. Xiao Hai, this book was borrowed only with your Uncle Mu's guarantee. You must take good care of it. Of course, you also need to recognize characters well. Although you can recognize some characters now, you need to persevere. The Mu Shu mentioned by Lin Qianshu, whose real name is Mu Qiaosheng, is a 21st level soul master this year. His martial soul is Mantis, the deacon of the Martial Soul Hall, and he is also a member of Qianji village. He is also a rare animal martial soul with attacking power. He and Lin Qianshu grew up wearing the same pants from a young age. Later, when their martial souls awakened, they both had soul power, and their relationship became even closer. However, Lin Qianshu's innate soul power is lower than that of Mu Qiaosheng, so he, who only has a soul power of level 18, did not pass the test of the Martial Soul Palace and has been staying at home for years, working on his small business. Therefore, the Lin Hai family is also one of the few wealthy families in Qianji village. According to Lin Qianshu, after his soul power cultivation reaches level 20, he will go to the Martial Soul Hall again for assessment. He doesn't want to fall too far behind his good brothers. Okay, I won't let Uncle Mu be punished for me, Lin Hai's little head nodded forcefully. Haha, be good and smash it, you just know. Alright, Xiao Hai, let's put down the book first, Lin Qianshu said helplessly as Lin Hai couldn't put it down and flipped the tree back and forth. Let's start this month's medicinal bath. Are you ready? Lin Hai. Lin Qianshu's tone became serious as he spoke seriously. Lin Hai took a breath and loudly replied, You're ready. Well, that's good. Your mother and I will go prepare, and you can move around here first. Subsequently, Lin Qianshu walked towards the back room with Yuking. Due to the special location of Qianji village, it is particularly suitable for the growth of plants and medicinal herbs. The abundance of medicinal herbs ensures the economic prosperity of the village, and on the other hand, sufficient medicinal herbs make soul masters like Lin Qianshu interested in cultivating children, hoping that their physical fitness will improve. At the same time, they also save some to see if they can increase the opportunity to have innate soul power. However, now it is a simple medicinal bath, which is not expensive and suitable for children of this age. Moreover, Lin Qianshu's good brother, Mu Qiaosheng, would also have his wife Kan take her own bastard boy to live in the village for a period of time every once in a while. Come and enjoy the blessings of the gods. The prosperity and high awakening rate of martial souls in Qianji village have also attracted malicious people. Once, some greedy little nobles occupied this place, trying to cultivate the family lineage. Strengthen the family. The nobles have no regard for this bit of meat. Fortunately, in the end, the people from the Martial Soul Hall calmed down this matter and expelled the nobles. Later, people discovered that among the people from the Martial Soul Hall, there were geniuses who had previously left Qianji village. Therefore, in the future, these little nobles dared not think of Qianji village, at least in the case of which genius was still alive. 50 years ago, a genius with innate soul power of level 7 left the village and currently works in the Martial Soul Hall. Time passed in a flash, and the effect of the medicinal bath came out. Although Lin Hai was not top-notch and handsome at a young age, he also had a good appearance, a good figure, neither fat nor thin, and very tight flesh. For years have passed, and Lin Qianshu has broken through to level 20, obtained a soul ring, and become a level 21 soul master. Currently, he is preparing to participate in the Lin Yuanqing Martial Soul Palace assessment this year. Having some money at home, I still need the protection of the Martial Soul Hall, which is also the helplessness of ordinary soul masters. In addition, as Lin Hai grew up slowly, after the age of 4, he began to follow Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe into the city. As for what? Of course, it was several days when Lin Hai borrowed money from his parents to do business in the city. With the friendship between his father Lin Qianshu and Mu Qiaosheng, he borrowed many books from the Martial Soul Hall of Lin Yuanqing through the book garden www.zhaozhuyuan.com. Well, Mu Qiaosheng, this should be considered an abuse of power, but in such a small place, except for some confidential books, everything else is not very strict. Having knowledge in one's mind keeps everything calm. Now Lin Hai is waiting for his martial soul to awaken. He has completed everything and only needs to awaken. However, when it comes to the awakening of his martial soul, he is actually a bit flustered. His father, Blue Silver Grass, mother, Lotus, and there is no royal lineage in his family. Really? It's hard to say in a single word. All I can say is try to live your life as much as possible. In recent years, he has figured out the timeline of the mainland. 5 years ago, a month after he borrowed his first book, it was rumored that Pope Qiang Sunji of the Martial Soul Hall led a group of subordinates to besiege and suppress the 100,000-year transformed soul beast, and ultimately died unharmed. After a while, it was rumored that the previous Pope Chihiro died of serious illness, and the new Pope Bibidong succeeded him. It was still the grassland of the Blue and Silver Sea, with Lin Hai's small body holding a small wooden gun that was about his height. With a movement of the long gun, it thrust forward, with the tip of the gun pointing downwards and sweeping left and right, followed by a continuous thrust. Retract the tip of the gun, rotate the long gun and insert it into the ground. Hold the pole of the long gun in your left hand, jump up and kick your leg in the air, land, and pull out the long gun. Use the tip of the gun to support the ground, jump into the air, hold the long gun and rotate it twice in the air. Finally, the gun head hits the ground. After completing a set of actions, it's not surprising that he practiced for 2.5 years. As for why I learned guns, guess what? Who? I'm 1 year younger than Oscar. Lin Hai sat in the ocean of blue silver grass after practicing marksmanship in his daily life. A wooden gun was inserted next to it. Chapter 3. Wooden Treasures with Round Drums. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Lin Hai looked up and sighed, I don't know if I have his kind of talent. That's innate soul power. It's hard to say the awakening of martial souls. My parents' martial soul qualities are too low, and it's still one thing whether they have innate soul power. Although the medicinal bath boosted Lin Hai's confidence, the awakening of martial souls was still full of uncertainty, and Lin Hai was still a bit panicked. Suddenly, Lin Hai knelt down on a piece of blue grass, his hands propped up on the ground, his head lowered, and when he looked up again, tears streamed down his face. His small appearance was still full of joy. Seen with watery eyes, kneeling and shouting up to the sky, oh no. It's not his fault, Lin Hai. Although he inherited the abilities of his past life, this thing cannot help him improve his innate soul power. At the thought of this, Lin Hai was like a lemon again. Why did Tang San have an internal mental skill while he didn't? They were all walkers, and the difference was so sharp. Moreover, when he thought about that guy's martial soul and his bright future, Lin Hai's sour face twisted and deformed. However, as he did this, the blue grass rubbed against his hands as if comforting him. Lin Hai tidied up his mood and spoke to blue silver grass, thank you. I'm not sad either, I'm just a bit resentful. However, if my martial soul is yours, it seems to feel pretty good too. I can't say I can still communicate with you. After Lin Hai finished speaking, the amplitude and frequency of the blue silver grass swayed even greater, looking extremely happy. He he he. Lin Hai looked at the blue silver grass and smiled happily. Besides, I'm not without other means. Lin Hai looked inwardly, a silver light ball in his mind. Lin Hai's thoughts moved, and the wooden gun next to him was also trembling, about to fly. At this moment, Lin Hai. A chubby little man ran towards Lin Hai in the distance, shouting his name. This chubby little man's name is Mu Jiabao, as his name suggests. He is a precious treasure in his family, as you can tell by his physique. After several years of medicinal bathing, although I still look a bit overweight, I feel much better than before. It used to be like a ball. Now his flesh is very tight and has shrunk a lot. Let's still call it strong. Mu Jiabao is the son of Mu Qiaosheng, who is the same age as Lin Hai and has been a good brother since childhood. Mu Qiaosheng, who awakened the martial soul of Qianji village this time, was in charge, but he still had several other villages to go to, so he packed and sent Mu Jiabao here in advance. Jiabao, please slow down. Lin Hai couldn't help but shout as he watched the small flesh on his cheek tremble. Mu Jiabao came to Lin Hai, panting heavily, with his hands propped up on his knees. I knew you were here. Lin Hai, my dad is here. Uncle and his team asked me to call you back to the village. The exhausted Mu Jiabao began to speak incoherently. Okay, let's go quickly, he said, pulling Mu Jiabao with one hand and running towards the village. Wait. Let me take a break now. In the village, there are more than 10 children standing in front of a beautifully built house. And Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao are also among them. At this moment, Mu Jiabao was looking at Lin Hai with a gloomy expression on his face, while Lin Hai scratched his head in a casual manner. Sorry, Jiabao, I'm too excited. I can't forgive you for this, unless. Mu Jiabao's eyes rolled. You give me 3 big meat buns. Originally, Mu Jiabao was still holding his hands and turning his head to one side. After saying these words, he opened his small eyes and glanced at Lin Hai, then quickly withdrew his gaze. Lin Hai. Jiabao, have you eaten less soul beast meat in recent years? You don't know, as much meat as I eat, my mother wants me to run as many miles. Mu Jiabao looked at Lin Hai with tears in his eyes. Looking at where Mu Jiabao was pointing his fingers, Lin Hai helplessly said, All right. Lin Hai. I'm sorry, Aunt Con. I broke my promise to you. Con, the mother of Mu Jiabao, strongly demands that everyone refrain from feeding him too much food due to his slightly overweight figure. And because of his fear of his mother's authority, Mu Jiabao dared not provoke her, but he would also find ways to make a living. He. The little chubby man suddenly became happy. It's okay, meat buns. You must remember. Mu Jiabao. That's great. I earned 3 meat buns today, and my mother doesn't know yet. I won't be taken away this time. Thinking of the food that had been searched for at home, Mu Jiabao only felt a myocardial infarction. It was a snack he had hidden for a long time, which was completely taken away by his mother's adult. My heart hurts so much, but fortunately I will have some meat buns to comfort me later. At this moment, the village chief walked over with a middle-aged and young man, who was around 30 years old, slightly chubby, and had a handsome appearance. He was dressed in white strong clothing and was looking for a book garden. Behind him was a black cloak, with a fist-sized soul character in the center of his chest. On the left chest, there is a badge engraved with a long sword. There are 3 long swords intertwined on the badge, and the number of the 3 represents the 3rd-class title of the Soul Master, the Great Soul Master. The long sword represents that the deacon from the Martial Soul Hall is a War Soul Master. This is the standard attire for personnel directly under the Martial Soul Hall. The person who came was Mu Qiaosheng, and Qianji village was also his last stop today. Lin Hai looks at the fact that it is not his big brother Yuntao who wakes up Wu Sol. He only roast in his heart. Go through the bureau and warn JPG. Although he knew that blind Dolua, who was far away in Notting City, could not come here, he couldn't help but wonder in Lin Hai's heart. What if he comes? Yeah. Blind Dolua, the brothers of the travelers have all been certified by him, and they will definitely make a fortune. Bah, they have soul power. Qianji village is the top configuration among all villages in Dolua continent, and the village head is also a soul master, just a soul master with 11 levels of soul power and a white soul ring. The village chief looked kindly at Mu Qiaoxing and said, Xiao Mu, I have to ask you today too. This means that village chief Qianji has soul power, or is he a soul master? If he wants to be replaced in another place, as the deacon of the martial soul hall, be polite. Come on. Not spraying you is good. Uncle Ors, you're too polite. Back then, you also brought us here to awaken our martial souls. Yeah, how many years have passed in a blink of an eye? The children will be left to you. Village chief Ors dragged his old body away. All right children, everyone line up, stand in a row. As it was a group of ignorant children, Kibashi Xing's tone naturally improved a lot. Chapter 4. Martial Soul Awakening. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Mu Qiaoxing has a very good attitude towards the children. As for treating other idle people outside, he has no choice but to maintain the basic dignity of the martial soul hall. After all, it is the first power in the mainland. Mu Qiaoxing smiled at the children and said, My name is Mu Qiaoxing, a level 25 soul master. At this moment, I am your guide. From now on, I will awaken your martial souls one by one. No matter what you see later, don't be afraid. After speaking, Mu Qiaoxing opened the package he had placed aside and took out 6 black round stones and a shiny blue crystal. Mu Qiaoxing arranged 6 small stones in a hexagonal shape, and everything was ready. Mu Qiaoxing then called for the first child to come forward. Don't be afraid. Close your eyes and feel it carefully, said Mu Qiaoxing, his eyes shining brightly. Martial Soul, Praying Mantis. A faint blue light was first released from the center of his eyebrows, following the position of the eyebrows all the way up and into the bun. Mu Qiaoxing's hair was originally black, but when the blue light was injected, it instantly turned green. A faint blue light appeared on his hands, and at the same time, his body seemed to have expanded much more than before. The whole body is filled with a sense of muscle. The specific clothing of the martial soul hall has good elasticity and did not explode due to his larger body size. Mu Qiaoxing's eyes had turned blue, and his hands inadvertently emitted a cold light. 2 halos lit up from his feet, constantly hovering from his feet to his head. One of them is white, and the other is yellow. Extremely eerie. Something inexplicably strange appeared, and except for Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao, all the other children were startled. Of course, this is not surprising. In Qianji village, 99% of people's martial souls are plants, and it is quite normal for these children to see animal martial souls for the first time. As for those two, the souls of Lin Hai and the other world, knowledgeable, Mu Jiabao. They have seen more at home, so it's not surprising to see more. Mu Jiabao attached himself tightly to the ears of the forest. Hey, it's so ugly. I don't want to awaken my dad's martial soul, I want my mom's martial soul more. Mu Jiabao said, his eyes shining with admiration. Mu Jiabao's mother, Khan, her martial soul is the Fury Bear, a level 29 Great Soul Master, and also a deacon in the Martial Soul Hall. However, despite being a bear-like creature, Khan has a great physique, but she still inherits some bear traits, such as irritability and a hot temper. The 2 father and son of the Mu family were obediently disciplined by her, and of course, that's why Mu Jiabao has always looked down on his father since childhood. Obviously, he forgot how he looked in Khan's hands, but he didn't perform any better than Mu Qiaoxing. But, boys, envy and worship the strong, so after listening, Lin Hai turned his head to look at this chubby little guy. He's quite a thief. Do you still know how to whisper, afraid that if his father hears it, there will be a love package? Lin Hai smiled knowingly. Mu Qiaosheng. Kid, you look down on your father and me. This child can't be taken anymore. Hurry up and start the remedial plan, start preparing the reserve army. A glowing expression in both eyes. The first little boy was quite brave. Although he was still a bit scared, he gritted his teeth and persisted without moving. He, not bad, he's a little man. However, only Lin Hai noticed the little boy's legs trembling uncontrollably. Lin Hai. Silent, this is not bravery. Even though I was scared and my legs were weak, I couldn't move anymore. I couldn't even run if I wanted to. Obviously, there is no soul master in this little boy's family who has a soul ring, otherwise it wouldn't be like this. Mu Qiaosheng quickly shot with both hands, injecting 6 faint green lights into the 6 black stones on the ground. Suddenly, a layer of golden light was released from the 6 stones, forming a light golden mask that enveloped the previous child. I don't know why, but as soon as the child, who had previously been afraid, was enveloped by the light golden light, he immediately became calm and stood there, somewhat dazed. Gold dots floated out from the black stones on the ground and then entered the boy's body. The boy's body began to tremble slightly, wanting to scream but unable to make a sound. Stretch out your right hand, Kibashi Shenkinjiu's eyes fixed on the boy, commanding in a majestic tone. The boy instinctively extended his right hand, and suddenly, all the dots of light rushed out. In an instant, an orange-red flower appeared in his palm. It seems that the orange-red flowers are not illusory in light and shadow, but exist in reality. It's a scorching sun flower, it can be considered a weapon in martial soul, but it's a bit forced to use it against the enemy. Lin Hai listened to Mu Qiaosheng's words from behind, and with great interest, he thought to himself, Lianghua, looks very magical. The golden light gradually converged, and the boy looked at the small orange flower in his hand with some surprise, feeling somewhat bewildered. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. Mu Qiaosheng said, your martial soul is a blazing sunflower, a weapon martial soul. Come, let me test if you have soul power. If you have soul power, even if the weapon martial soul is a flower, you can still practice as a soul master. However, if you want to have combat power, you need to obtain a soul ring before you can speak. Mu Qiaosheng also has a hint of helplessness. The disadvantage of plant-based martial souls is that before obtaining the soul ring, it is impossible to see whether their potential is high or low. Mu Qiaosheng sighed from the bottom of his heart. Although Qianji village is blessed with innate soul power when the martial soul awakens, the growth space of plant-based weapon martial souls is too low, and there are few martial souls that can have the same attacking power as the Chrysanthemum Dolua in the martial soul hall. It can only be said that even if it is Qianji village, it will also be Qianji village if it is defeated. However, the strange thing is that every few years, Qianji village will experience a burst of genius. Mu Qiaosheng and Lin Qianshu were the awakened people at that time, but they were just average. It took them years to achieve these accomplishments. The most successful person to leave Qianji village is called Mavic. He is now a soul saint and works in the martial soul hall. He is a genius with innate soul power of level 8, a plant-based weapon called martial soul, and an evergreen vine. This is also Qianji village's greatest confidence in pretending to be a tiger. It is also because of him that those arrogant and domineering nobles dare not really take action against Qianji village. Mu Qiaosheng sighed from the bottom of his heart. Alas! I don't know if there will be good seedlings in the village this year. Mu Qiaosheng looked at the bewildered child and said, all right, child, use your mind to retrieve your martial soul. The boy tried for a long time before taking back the scorching sunflower in his hand. Mu Qiaosheng handed the blue crystal ball in his hand to him, indicating that he would place his right hand on it. After a moment, Mu Qiaoxing said somewhat disappointed, without soul power, you cannot become a soul master. Let's go aside first. Chapter 5. Fury Bear, Mutated Blue-Silver Grass. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The same scene continues to unfold, with 7 or 8 children's martial souls awakening one after another. Their martial souls are all plants such as flowers, grass, and vines, and not a single animal martial soul has appeared. As for soul power, it has also been detected as none by Mu Qiaoxing. Of course, there are also 3 children who awaken the blue-silver grass. It will soon be Mu Jiabao's turn. Mu Jiabao rolled up his sleeves, turned around and gave Lin Hai a look before moving forward. After using soul power for a long time, even if Mu Qiaoxing was a great soul master, he was a bit tired. However, when Mu Qiaoxing saw only the last Mu Jiabao and Lin Hai left, he gritted his teeth and carried on the awakening to the end. Mu Jiabao looked down at Mu Qiaoxing in the middle of the 6 stones, with a look of disdain in his eyes. It's no wonder Mu Jiabao is like this. He has clearly witnessed the status of Mu Qiaoxing at home. Mu Qiaoxing closed his eyes, clenched his fists, and the corners of his mouth twitched, with a faint bulging of veins on his forehead. The way Mu Jiabao looks, Mu Qiaoxing just wants to give this kid a headache. This bear child just needs to be cleaned up. Mu Jiabao. Disdainful eyes, what is your status? What is my status without points? Keep staring, if you keep staring, I'll go home and tell mom. Mu Jiabao noticed the change in Mu Qiaoxing's face and looked at him seriously with his mouth bulging, conveying this message with his eyes. Perhaps Mu Qiaoxing himself didn't even know that his mouth was open. Mu Qiaoxing comforted himself in his heart. No one can replace me if I'm not angry or angry. The child is my own, my own. Who hasn't had a childhood? Mu Qiaoxing calmed down for a moment and began to awaken his martial soul. With the injection of Mu Qiaoxing's soul power, the light golden light shone again. Mu Jiabao was surrounded by a golden shield made of 6 stones. As his father, he was particularly relaxed, so when the warm golden light surrounded his body, the little chubby man couldn't help but moan. Cough. Mu Qiaoxing gritted his teeth and continued to preside over the awakening of his martial soul with a black face. This stinky kid, your father and I have worked hard to awaken for you. You're lucky to enjoy it here for me to see. The golden dots gathered and grew more, and finally, the martial soul appeared. Wow! The children exclaimed in surprise. Only Mu Qiaoxing looked defeated. My great martial soul, the mighty praying mantis, why didn't this kid inherit it? No, that plan is urgent. Mu Qiaoxing's face was serious and full of affirmation. Unknowingly, Mu Jiabao thought his father was recognizing his martial soul. Lin Hai looked at Mu Jiabao's martial soul in surprise and said, One that can catch fire. Bear behind Mu Jiabao, there was a phantom of a bear with flames on its body, which had undergone changes. It had become taller and stronger, and Mu Jiabao had claws on his hand. Mu Jiabao excitedly waved his paws a few times. Although he has heard of Ant Khan's martial soul, he has never seen it before. This is still the first time I have seen it. Alright, let's test if we have soul power. Mu Qiaoxing interrupted Mu Jiabao's boastful movements and handed the blue crystal ball to him according to the procedure. The golden light flickered on the blue ball. Innate soul power. Level 8. Mu Qiaoxing's voice suddenly increased by 1 degree. Cough cough. Realizing that he was a bit out of control, Mu Qiaoxing quickly adjusted his state. Be meticulous. Actually Mu Qiaoxing was ecstatic in his heart. Haha, my son is a genius. No, I need to go back and reopen the genealogy. Write me on the first page, hahaha. Mu Qiaoxing thought happily. Mu Qiaoxing said absent-mindedly, cough cough cough, You can stand aside first. However, next he saw his family's precious son, hey. However, at this moment, Mu Jiabao was giggling foolishly, with a hint of crystal-clear object flowing out of his mouth. He was also addicted to his dream of becoming an ancestor, probably about reopening the family tree, and did not hear what his father said. Mu Qiaosheng looked at his own appearance, with a black line on his face. He really wanted to give him a kick and show him what his father's love is. Although he had been wanting to give this love for a long time, there was still a virtuous wife and mother in the family, and the plan could not be implemented for a long time. Of course, due to the majesty of the martial soul hall, Mu Qiaosheng didn't want to remind the thug himself. So, Mu Qiaosheng signaled to Lin Hai. Lin Hai watched as Mu Qiaosheng blinked at him and immediately received the command. Lin Hai blinked at Mu Qiaosheng. Got it. Lin Hai shook the wooden treasure and said, treasure, wake up. Oh. Mu Jiabao wiped his saliva with his sleeve. Quick, fast, Lin Hai, it's your turn. Mu Jiabao, who had regained his senses, looked at Lin Hai excitedly. Then, as if he had realized something, he immediately and consciously stepped aside, freeing up the space. Lin Hai took a deep breath, clenched his small fist, and encouraged himself. After nodding hard, he walked into the awakening array arranged by stones. Mu Qiaosheng looked at his friend's calm son and nodded in satisfaction, then stopped writing. Mu Qiaosheng condensed the soul power in his body and slowly injected it into the 6 small stones. With the injection of soul power, the small stones also emitted golden light, enveloping the forest and forming a golden shield. Surrounded by the light and the golden cover, Lin Hai felt very comfortable. The light slowly entered his body, and Lin Hai only felt something about to burst out of his right hand. The golden light grew stronger and stronger, and Lin Hai's martial soul finally awakened. In between, a blue-green grass floated on Lin Hai's right hand. Unlike other blue-silver grasses, this one seemed to carry a bit of silver light and was also thicker. It's blue-silver grass. However, your plant seems a bit different. Has it mutated? I don't know if it's good or bad. For Lin Hai's martial soul, Mu Qiaosheng had already anticipated it, but he couldn't help but sigh for a moment. Although blue-silver grass is recognized as an abandoned martial soul on the mainland, most people's view of it is that it has no attack power, no defense power, and no auxiliary ability. Blue-silver grass can also be considered as the standard form of abandoned martial souls. To be honest, those who awaken the martial soul of the blue-silver grass and possess innate soul power are truly rare and rare. There is a slight derogatory connotation here, except for cheating, everything else is really only 1 or 2 levels. However, Mu Qiaosheng, who comes from a commoner background, has a gentle temperament and little ambition, and is satisfied with the status quo. He doesn't seem like Su Yuntao, a deacon from another place. He's young, single, ambitious, and famous. When he's unhappy, he even sarcastically says, in short, it seems like he needs to put out the fire. The different ideologies determine the two's views on blue-silver grass. Chapter 6. Innate Soul Power Level 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, child, come and test your soul power. Mu Qiaosheng reached out to Lin Hai with a blue crystal ball. Lin Hai was also the first to observe this soul measuring device up close, and for a while, he had the idea to study it. However, fortunately, he also knew that this was not the time to think about it. Lin Hai extended his right hand to cover the blue crystal ball. Lin Hai's small body trembled for a moment, and he suddenly felt that his palm was trapped by a strong suction force, unable to break free. At the same time, Lin Hai felt something unclear slowly pouring into the blue crystal ball in his body. The blue crystal ball in Mu Qiaosheng's hand shone brightly. According to traditional testing, as long as the crystal ball shows a slight sense, even a hint of light, it proves that the tested person has soul power. Therefore, Mu Qiaosheng is very happy for his friend, and his son also has the opportunity to become a soul master. But he was still too happy too early, and the light suddenly became even brighter. Mu Qiaosheng. Be good, Qian Shu, this son is promising. Innate soul power. Level 9. There's also the mutated blue silver grass, ha ha ha, I didn't expect your child to be so talented. You're stronger than your father. Regarding the fact that blue silver grass is a useless martial soul, Mu Qiaosheng doesn't care at all. It's understandable. He doesn't have the same weak strength as Su Yuntao, but his vision is extremely high. He himself is only a great soul master, and his good brother is also blue silver grass, so there's nothing to look down on. In the eyes of Mu Qiaosheng, in this world of the jungle, having innate soul power and being able to become a soul master and become a master is already a good thing. As for the original time and space, Jack, the village chief of Holy Soul Village, looked disappointed when he heard Tang San's blue silver grass. It was because he had been showing up under the name of a soul saint in the village. After Tang San awakened his blue silver grass martial soul, he looked down on the lowest level people from a high-ranking perspective, just like those who despise the lowest level people. The awakening of the martial soul has been completed, and the awakening task arranged by the martial soul sub-hall has also been completed. Mu Qiaosheng has already said hello to the martial soul sub-hall and will return to work tomorrow. Alright, children, let's all go out. He packed his things and led the children out the door. Sure enough, after strolling around, village chief Ors returned. It seems that he still can't rest assured. Xiaomu. How is the situation this year? Asked the village chief Ors. It's not his fault for asking such a question. Although their village has a high chance of awakening soul power and producing one every few years, their talent is not very impressive. Previously, other villages envied their village for being able to produce soul masters, but later on, perhaps because it was sour, several villages joined forces to spit sour water and squeeze him. Although these villages cannot provoke their Qianji village, it doesn't prevent them from speaking cold words. At first, it was okay, but after a while, Ors didn't feel very comfortable listening. At this age, it's not easy to really take action to deal with those village chiefs. Ors urgently hoped for a day in the village to make him proud. Mu Qiaosheng looked at the village chief, Uncle Ors, and said that Uncle Ors was also a character. The martial soul is also a blue silver grass, with innate half-level soul power. It took more than half of one's life to reach the 10th level soul master, and a white soul ring was created, creating a dream for the soul master. As I get older, it's not easy to go out and explore, so I feel at ease and work as the village chief. Uncle Ors, there have been 2 good seedlings this year, Mu Jiabao, martial soul fury bear, and innate 8th level soul power. Mu Qiaosheng's tone gradually became sour. Lin Hai, martial soul mutated blue silver grass, innate level 9 soul power. The other little ones. Mu Qiaosheng hesitated to speak. Or's village chief is also an understanding person, knowing that innate soul power is something that can be encountered but not sought after. However, is it really so? It is not a coincidence that Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao have such qualifications. To be honest, since Lin Hai learned that his village produces a high amount of medicine and his family is engaged in the medicine business, his modern soul told him to cultivate early. Sometimes Lin Hai thought to himself, we don't have any spiritual cultivation methods, martial arts. Let's do physical strengthening, medicinal bathing, and moderate training to enhance our physical fitness. So he relied on being cute and pestering his parents to give him a medicinal bath. Lin Qianshu also had this idea, thinking that nothing can be bitter for his child. He gritted his teeth and could still afford it. So, as a big and small child, they hit it off at once. However, if you want to have the best results with medicinal baths, you still need to rely on the medicinal bath formulas left by predecessors. However, these effective medicinal bath formulas are basically controlled by some family forces, and ordinary people have no way to obtain medicinal bath formulas. The reason why Yu Xiaojiang was able to take out the prescription casually is because of his background, which was searched by the Blue Electric Overlord sect and the Martial Soul Hall knowledge base. Lin Qianshu, who was weak in strength, simply sought out his friend Mu Qiaosheng. Mu Qiaosheng remembered his great son and agreed with Lin Qianshu's plan to raise children from a young age, which was nothing more than spending some money. Over the years, the two of them have backed up from Qianji village and have accumulated a lot of savings. Thanks to an adult from Qianji village who has a martial soul hall, he is at least safe now. So the two of them combined and planned to use the power of the martial soul hall to buy a medicinal bath method from the auction house in Soto City. Mu Jiabao's mother, Khan, as a level 29 soul master, of course knew the benefits of medicinal baths. Now that Qianji village had the unique conditions, and her best friend's child was with her son, he naturally hoped that his bare child would have a good foundation from a young age, so she also supported him. The plan was successful, and a medicinal bath prescription was purchased. Mu Qiaosheng displayed the emblem of the Martial Soul Hall, which extinguished those who wanted to rob him. But there were still people who took risks, but fortunately, Mu Qiaosheng was clever and stayed at the Soul Hall of Soto City for a period of time before returning home safely. This experience made Mu Qiaosheng sigh and say that Dolua continent is really unsafe. Wealth and silk move people's hearts, and the title of the Martial Soul Hall sometimes doesn't work. One thing remains unchanged. Even if Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao do not take a medicinal bath, they will still have innate soul power, which is determined by nature, but it may not be as high as they are now. You should know that if you have no innate soul power, even taking such a medicinal bath is useless. You won't make an empty shell suddenly appear with soul power out of thin air. The function of medicinal baths is to promote the increase and tightness of soul power. Hey, hi, how do you use your mutated martial soul? I just see that it's something else that needs to be thicker. Lin Hai didn't speak and just glanced at Mu Jiabao, with a look of looking at ## in his eyes. Mu Jiabao. I'm young, but I'm not really stupid. The murderous aura in your eyes is about to overflow. Chapter 7. Future Planning. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The Martial Soul Awakening ceremony has ended, and Mu Qiaosheng leads Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao towards the Lin Hai family. Khan also has a mission to go to another village. Mu Qiaosheng remembered his wife's violent temper and rubbed the non-existent sweat on his forehead. Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe were anxiously waiting at their doorstep. Seeing Mu Qiaosheng returning with his two children, he rushed forward and asked, "Old Mu, how are you doing?" Mu Qiaosheng was about to tease him, but his face looked very dark. Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe saw the disappointment and sorrow on Mu Qiaosheng's face, and their mood suddenly fell. Yu Qinghe crossed the wooden bridge and then crouched down to touch the heads of Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao, suppressing the sadness in his heart. He spoke gently and comforted, "It's okay. Don't be sad. Without soul power, there's no soul power. We can support you. Should I say that I am truly a woman? The first thing that comes to mind is the child. However, Mu Jiabao. He looked at Yu Qinghe with a puzzled expression on his face. Mu Qiaosheng turned his back to them, and he had no idea what had just happened between the two doors. "Aunt Yu, what are you talking about? Hai and I have soul power." Although we don't know the cause, Mu Jiabao explained the consequences. "What? Do you too have soul power?" Mu Jiabao continued, "Yes. My martial soul is the Fury Bear, with 8th level soul power." As he spoke, Mu Jiabao straightened his waist, revealing a round belly and a smile on his cheeks almost overflowing. Hi, martial soul Blue Silver Grass, innate 9th level soul power. Lin Hai felt it was necessary to prove that his Blue Silver Grass was different, and added, "It's a mutated Blue Silver Grass." Yu Qinghe and Lin Qianshu were momentarily stunned, then turned their heads to look at Mu Qiaosheng in a secluded way. Mu Qiaoxing looked at the melancholic gaze of Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe, and unconsciously touched his head. He sneered, "So what, I haven't said anything yet. It's your own misunderstanding." Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe said, carrot system. Lin Qianshu. This guy is not honest. Yu Qinghe. When Sister Khan returns, I will report it to her. Mu Qiaoxing. No, please, no. Darth gave it. At night, Mu Jiabao lay in bed with a satisfied expression on his face and quickly fell asleep. And the forest sea. It's sitting on one's own small stool, lying on the table, thinking to oneself about something. Since you already know your martial soul and soul power, it's time to analyze and plan carefully, and seek the future. Previously, before he was clear about his talents, Lin Hai had initially formulated 3 major policies and many small branches, which were well prepared. He also took notes in words that only he could understand. Simply put, it's in the form of a translated version. 3 bars are Tang San, and grass is blue silver grass. The first one is very simple: without soul power, find a retirement place to avoid conflicts and avoid getting involved in wars and unnecessary fights. Dead ball. Great, first one, cross it out. The second one, with soul power, chooses to hug Tang San's thigh. For the sake of strength. It's not embarrassing. However, he did not hold on to hope, and Tang San's personality also looked down upon soul masters with low soul power. Lin Hai thought for a moment and then started writing. Great, the second one also passed. Tang San's personality is not easy to match. Moreover, there is the most direct contradiction in their thoughts. This is not adjustable. Then there's only the third one. Has soul power, and soul power is not low. Lin Hai suddenly stood up and closed his notes with a snap sound, full of momentum and style, but unfortunately there was no applause from the audience. Since my martial soul has mutated, let's fight for it. In fact, when his martial soul awakened, looking at the blue-silver grass with partial silver veins in his hand, Lin Hai had a bold guess that his martial soul might be the Blue-Silver King. However, it seems that it has not fully evolved. Unless it is a chance similar to a fairy grass that can drive the complete transformation of the Blue-Silver King. In order to fully transform the blue-silver grass into the Blue-Silver King, Lin Hai is prepared to ponder carefully. Of course, besides the Blue-Silver King, Lin Hai has even greater ambition to wield the supreme power of the Blue-Silver Grass clan. However, is it the bloodline of the Blue-Silver Emperor? Lin Hai lowered his head and pondered. I need to plan carefully for myself. Don't tell me any big truths. People are not for themselves, heaven and earth will perish. Fortunately, Lin Hai is 1 year older than Tang San, and he secretly feels fortunate that there is still a chance. Alright, the second illness has been cured, and Lin Haiyan calmly continues to sit down and study. Since I am planning to follow this path, my previous preparations have not been in vain. I have been practicing for 2.5 years. Lin Hai had a plan like this long ago. When his martial soul inherits his father's blue-silver grass and his innate soul power is not low, Lin Hai wants to compete for a soul skill. The Blue-Silver Overlord Spear. This soul skill is not suitable for his single martial soul, but also for the blue-silver grass that assists in control. This aggressive soul skill is very necessary. So far, he, Lin Hai, has been practicing basic marksmanship for 2.5 years. Since there is a mutual exchange of long spears for attack and self-defense, Yu reading www.yuyukanshu.net, then let's focus on auxiliary soul skills in the front. Blue-silver grass is a symbol of life, and endless growth is synonymous with blue-silver grass, so I lean towards assisting, also to supplement the source of life. In that case, blue-silver grass should have the opportunity to transform and evolve. No way, his family is like this. He doesn't have a title Dolua as a foundation, nor does he have a medical student's book or herbal prescription. He has the confidence to go to the ice and fire Liangyi eyes to collect wool. Although there is a simple and crude way, it is to tell Dugu Bo recklessly that you can eat blaze apricot delicate vegetables and octagonal dark ice grass, and then drink my blood while forcing the toxin into a soul bone. However, Dugu Bo is known for his unpredictable emotions. Moreover, he is about to have the name of the son of the deacon of the Martial Soul Hall on his head. With his hatred towards the Martial Soul Hall, Dugu Bo couldn't have killed me on the spot. I don't have the title Dolua Dad like Xiao Xiao-san, I dare not go at all. My own martial soul is also a blue-silver grass. Even if it mutates, in the eyes of the vast majority of people in the Martial Soul Hall, it is still a useless martial soul and there is no need to cultivate it. Not everyone in the Martial Soul Hall is like Mu Qiaosheng, and the discrimination within the Soul Master's inner circle is very serious. Academic disdain chain, if I were to assist, I would need a good partner to cover me up in the early stages. Fortunately, Jiabao is also very talented. Lin Hai's mouth curved with a smile. Well, we need to give him more thought and train him. Ah. After all, the Blue Silver King is still a plant-based martial soul, with fragility being the most obvious weakness. Therefore, my first soul ring needs to be chosen in the direction of enhancing its toughness. Go to the Martial Soul Hall to read more books later and try to find the most suitable soul beast. Chapter 8. Lin Yuanqing Martial Soul Academy. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The awakening of the martial soul did not interfere with the training of the Lin Hai plan, it was just an addition of meditation and cultivating soul power. There are still over 2 months before school starts, and Lin Hai wants to take advantage of this time to see if he can cultivate his soul power to level 10. Lin Hai is not a child who knows nothing, he understands the cultivation of martial soul mimicry. His martial soul is the Blue Silver King with incomplete bloodlines, and the environment in Qianji village is perfect for his training. It can be said that blue silver grass is everywhere. During the period before the start of school, Lin Hai spent over 70% of his time practicing soul power and exercising his body in his old place. Oh. The old place is the blue-silver grassland that he has loved to stay in since childhood. Unconsciously, Lin Hai's feelings for the blue-silver grassland gradually deepened, and he enjoyed spending time with it. The remaining time is to accompany Lin Qianshu and Yu Qinghe to the city, go to the Martial Soul Hall to read books, and accumulate more knowledge. Days pass by day. On this day, when Lin Hai arrived at the entrance of Lin Yuanqing Martial Soul Academy, he still felt a bit unreal. 2 months had passed too quickly. Xiao Hai, keep up. We're going in. Yeah. Ah Hai, you didn't miss Lin Yuanqing either. How could you behave so shocked? Lin Hai rolled his eyes when he heard Mu Jiabao's words. Lin Hai. I don't want to talk to you, let's break up for a minute first. Can I say that for all these years, Lin Yuanqing has mostly gone to the Martial Soul Palace to read books, without wandering around outside? Of course that's impossible. I don't want face from someone like Lin. Mu Jiabao didn't care so much, he pulled Lin Hai and followed behind Mu Qiaosheng. There were 2 guards in front of the Martial Soul Academy, who thought they were superior and looked up, boasting. At the corner of their eyes, they caught a glimpse of someone approaching, just a silhouette, and regardless of who the person was, they immediately raised their long spears and said, "Stop, what are you doing here?" Lin Hai looked at these 2 guards with a strange expression, holding back a smile. These 2 guys are not blind, are they? Ha ha ha. Today, his wooden uncle was wandering around in the clothes of the Martial Soul Hall to show off. Before we arrived here, we had already walked half a circle around the city. Humph. Mu Qiaosheng snorted, his aura belonging to the Soul Master slowly rising. 2 soul rings appeared under my feet, floating halfway up my waist. Soul. Master Soul. Little one with eyes but no eyeballs, disturbing soul master. Please spare your life. Seeing that Mu Qiaosheng was a soul master, the two guards immediately panicked. They were just ordinary people, and they usually oppressed those working-class students from villages outside the city who had no background. Unexpectedly, I was pecked in the eye today and met a soul master. Humph. There are you scumbags everywhere who bully the weak and fear the hard. Get out of the way. Mu Qiaosheng shouted loudly. Yes, yes, sir. The two guards quickly stepped aside and greeted the three of them with a smile as they entered the gate. It wasn't until they saw Lin Hai and the three of them disappear from sight that they breathed a sigh of relief. Wiping off a cold sweat that didn't exist on his forehead, he said, I almost lost it today. This soul master is so irritable. Almost killed. His aura is much stronger than some teachers in our school. As the deacon of the Martial Soul Hall, Mu Qiaosheng must have splashed blood. These two are also unlucky. Today, Mu Qiaosheng recommended himself to send Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao to school, just to show off his prestige and reputation in front of these two brothers in Lin Yuancheng. But these two guys are so good, they have no vision at all. He even dares to stop him even though he is wearing the clothes of a Martial Soul Palace deacon. Isn't this lighting in the bathroom? ###. Of course, Mu Qiaosheng won't be able to speak well and confidently. These two security guards are also miserable. They have developed a habit of looking up and glancing at people. The teachers they usually see are acquaintances, and they recognize their faces from afar. Naturally, they will be careful to smile and flatter. This time, I also looked up and exhaled, looking at my face but not my clothes. I hit the muzzle of the gun. Hello. Ah, hi, what's wrong with my dad? Mu Jiabao and Lin Hai were behind, and Mu Jiabao pulled Lin Hai and asked in a low voice. Lin Hai looked at Mu Jiabao with a bit of surprise, feeling that his intelligence had reached points related to food. Lin Hai looked at Mu Jiabao's cute big eyes, with a clear and foolish expression in their eyes. Lin Hai fell silent and said, Lin Hai was not prepared to answer his question. If that were to be said, according to Lin Hai's understanding of Mu Jiabao, this guy would definitely mock Mu Qiaosheng harshly for this. These two father and son, who both fight at home, probably won't get much better outside. Lin Hai also saw such a father-son relationship for the first time. Mu Qiaosheng. It's all my first time being a father. Why should I lower my voice and coax him well? Mu Jiabao. It's all my first time being a son, why should I follow him in everything? The most important thing is Aunt Khan, who is at the top of their family's food chain. No matter how much trouble these two fathers and sons have, there will be no emotional gap. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net is because they both have one thing in common, they are full of fear towards Aunt Khan. Sometimes, the two will gather together to discuss countermeasures. How to avoid this punishment. But more often than not, they expose each other's weaknesses in front of Aunt Khan, in order to focus her firepower on the other party and reduce their own sense of presence. Mu Qiaosheng brought his two brothers directly to the Academic Affairs office. Hey, Brother Mu, why are you here? The director of the Academic Affairs office, Cuddy, stood up with a smile and said to Mu Qiaosheng. Brother Cuddy, I came to school with my son and nephew. Oh. It seems that your two younger generation's talents are both very good. It's worth it for you to personally send them over. Ha ha ha. Where, just two stinky kids, where do you have any talent? Mu Qiaosheng laughed heartily, not forgetting to kick Mu Jiabao's little butt. Mu Jiabao reached out and rubbed his little butt, then turned around to look at Mu Qiaosheng with a resentful expression. Afterwards, Mu Qiaosheng handed the proof presented by the Martial Soul Hall to Cuddy. With Cuddy's familiarity with Mu Qiaosheng, this guy laughed like this, and most likely where to pretend. His two younger generations should have similar talents. Cuddy took it over, his gaze swept over two certificates, and then his eyeballs suddenly became big. After a while, Cuddy recovered and reorganized his instrument. He said to Mu Xiaoxing, "Ha ha ha. Brother Mu, you are just too humble. You have brought us two good seedlings this time. Ha ha ha." Although he had guesses, he still didn't expect that Mu Xiaoxing's younger generation's talent was so good. One beast martial soul, level 8 soul power, one mutated martial soul, level 9 soul power. He made a fortune this time. Chapter 9. School Building Struggle, Showing Its Edge. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Although Cuddy was a bit puzzled, the talents of these two children should theoretically be sent by Mu Xiaoxing to the Martial Soul Academy in the Martial Soul Hall. However, he can't handle so much either. Since the other party doesn't want to deliver it, there must be his thoughts, so I'm not respectful. If their school can produce a few excellent students, these teachers will also be commended. Okay, Brother Cuddy, I'll leave these two children to you. Don't worry, Brother Mu, I will take care of them. Subsequently, Mu Xiaoxing left. After seeing off Mu Xiaoxing, Cuddy turned his head to look at Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao, child. Director. X2. Good child, come with me, I'll take you to the dormitory. Thank you, Director. X2. After a while, Ka brought Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao to a luxurious house. Along the way, Cuddy explained to Lin Hai the school rules, campus areas, and other precautions of Lin Yuanqing Soul Master College. Ahead is your dormitory, hee, there are some thorns inside, but I believe you two can handle it. Joking, innate level 8 soul power and level 9 soul power are not at a disadvantage anyway. Besides, the school already supports students competing with each other. Okay, thank you, Director. After Lin Hai thanked him, Cuddy turned around and left, and then went in with Mu Jiabao because they were not construction workers and had everything in the dormitory. Lin Hai pushed open the dormitory door, and the creaking sound of the door instantly caught the attention of the little people inside the dormitory. Hey! What are you guys doing? One of these people stood up and shouted fiercely at Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao. Lin Hai was observing this person, each taller than him, and the breath on his body was not much different from him. It seems that this guy is the boss of this dormitory. Ha! You can leave your name, Ba, give me your name. Lin Hai accidentally exclaimed. On the other side, Mu Xiaoxing had already returned home. Pushing open the door, Lin Qianshu's voice rang out. What did I say, ha ha ha. I just said he should come back. Well, I was just talking about him. He appeared on his own. Oh. What are you talking about me? Mu Xiaoxing took off his deacon robe from the Martial Soul Hall and asked. We were just talking about why you haven't come back yet. He, I said Xiaoxing. You're dressed so provocatively today, you wouldn't want to hook up with me when you come back. Ah. Before Lin Qianshu could finish speaking, Yu Qinghe pinched Lin Qianshu's waist. You. Mu Xiaoxing looked at Yu Qinghe with a resentful expression. However, with Yu Qinghe's squinting eyes and smiling, he directly chatted and closed his mouth. What's so small? The person from Mu Xiaoxing was so tightly controlled by Khan that he didn't even understand certain terms. It's nothing. Lin Qianshu sat honestly like a quail. You're back. How's it going, son? Did they all send it over? Didn't there be any mistakes, did they? No. Tone raised, okay. There are 2 gatekeepers blocking the way, but when my body shook, they were scared by my aura. Khan. Well, as long as the child hasn't been wronged. Oh, listen to me, young master. I won't change my name, I won't change my surname. Lin Yuanqing City Defense Officer, Han's son, Hans. Hans wiped his nose. Lin Hai. Very good. Humph. What about you, kid? Report your name. Hansen followed suit. This is the streets and alleys of the majestic Lin Yuancheng, where chickens and dogs dance in Qinji village. People give it the nickname, cultivate a flower, father. Humph, that's great. I remember you now, Fariel. Take it. Hansen said a bit of a rule, at least he didn't rush up when they pushed the door in the forest, but his tone was still a bit aggressive. Lin Hai threw his luggage to Mu Jiabao and also welcomed him. Lin Hai's right hand turned into a palm and caught Hansen's fist. Suddenly, the fluctuation of the airflow spread. Kid, your skills are good. Come again. Hansen used the aftershocks of the vibration to fly back, landing neatly, and then charged up again. Seeing Hansen pounce and punch his chest, Lin Hai took a step forward. Just as Hansen's fist was about to reach his chest, Lin Hai dodged on his side and reached out his right hand to grab Hansen's wrist. His left hand had been waiting for a long time, so he extended his palm and pressed it tightly against Hansen's stomach. Hansen opened his mouth, widened his eyes, and waved his hands, flying backwards. The other students also rushed forward and caught Hansen when they saw this. Lin Hai directly defeated the strongest person in their dormitory. The rest of the students, look at me, I look at you, a bit confused. Hush. At this moment, Hansen rubbed his stomach and stood up. He didn't expect that he would suffer a loss in this new kid's skills. He wanted to use his martial soul to teach him a lesson, but the night education he received since childhood made him not accept the practice of bullying the weak from the bottom of his heart. The remaining students were divided on both sides, leaving the middle for Hansen. Hansen let go and walked step by step to the front, looking down at Lin Hai and Mu Jiabao with a look of scrutiny in his eyes. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. That's it, 1 second, 2 seconds, kid, you have passed my test of you. From now on, you will be a member of our dormitory too. Let me formally introduce myself. My name is Hansen, 4th grade, martial soul, silver rhinoceros spear, 12th level war soul master. Lin Hai. It seems that this guy named Hansen has a decent talent. I'll take note of this grudge first. After you obtain the first soul ring, I'll come and retrieve this place. Hansen said to Lin Hai. Since the other party introduced themselves generously, it seems that this person's character is quite good. Lin Hai took a step forward and said, my real name is Lin Hai, martial soul, mutated blue silver grass, innate soul power, level 9. This statement is not unfounded. Those who say blue silver grass will surely sneer, but when they say their own soul power, these guys will somewhat restrain themselves. In the end, they will use their strength to prove it. Listen up, my name is Mu Jiabao, the martial soul palace. Mu Qiaoxing is my unjust father, the martial soul, the furious bear, and the 8th level soul power. Mu Jiabao truly lived by Khan's side since childhood, taking advantage of this situation without any procrastination. At home, he continued his mother's pressure on his father, while outside, he borrowed his father's power. As for his father's reputation not working, don't worry, he still has his mother, Khan. By the way, Khan has already been promoted to Soul Lord. As soon as Mu Jiabao spoke, Hansen and the other people's faces changed from indifferent to rather heavy. It was obvious that they, who had lived in Lin Yuancheng since childhood, also knew about Mu Qiaoxing as a person. The education received by powerful children, seeking benefits and avoiding harm, is one of them. As for those ignorant fools, let's not mention it.